Hey there.
Welcome to the Gunning Truth, a couple of days after the mammoth win over the Mancunians of Manchester. I love to say it. Arsenal 3, the Mancunians of Manchester 1. A day where so much emotion went through the game from people that was in the stadium, from people that was outside the stadium, people that were all over the world. There's videos of people absolutely losing it, and there's people going crazy for the victory for Arsenal over the Mancunians. This is an absolutely massive rivalry, one of the biggest games in the entire world. You can say Liverpool, Man United are bigger, Real Madrid, Barcelona. But this is an absolutely mammoth game when it comes to football in terms of the viewing numbers across the entire world. So really happy that Arsenal got the job done, and we are smiling all the way. 10 points. Is it 10 points for the Arsenal? 2 points off Man City, who are top. They are looking fantastic, and we just have to accept that we need to be better, because if you really look at it, take the emotion out of it, Arsenal weren't that great. So I don't know what that says for Man United. That came with a very defensive mindset. Their goalkeeper had the most touches for them, and it was just basic passes to the defenders. But Rashford did look dangerous. I thought Anthony, Bruno Fernandes and those type of players, they worked hard off the ball, but they weren't really a great threat. They obviously have that passing ability. Bruno's got the passing ability, and Eriksen has the passing ability. And I thought pre-game that Casemiro will have more of an effect in terms of the way he's able to make tackles and get the ball cleanly, but it was Declan Rice that ended up being the one. So you have to also look at the opposition in terms of what they brought forward. I thought Manchester United very lucky to have any points. The 2 wins, their home wins, I don't think they should have won either of those games against Wolves and Nottingham Forest, and then obviously they lost their 2 North London visits. So at the end of the day, you have to look at it that way. So just some slides from the game. Fantastic event that took place in North London. A lot of people saying it was extremely hot, and that obviously contributed to the game. Just from a tactical standpoint, you could see that Man United, they wanted to obviously play from the back with Onana, trying to get the ball to the defenders, but there just doesn't seem to have been a through ball really, other than when Arsenal made a mistake, and obviously Man United counter-attacking. It just seemed like Rashford was the only way. Anthony didn't really get anything out of Zinchenko, even though you thought maybe from an attacking standpoint from Man United, they should be able to get a little bit of it's difficult to say. I just think that from a defensive standpoint, Zinchenko obviously isn't the greatest. He's obviously there to play that inverted role, and obviously Martinelli assisted at times. And then also when Arsenal were on attack, obviously the key thing for us is our wingers, so Saka and Martinelli. Martinelli up against Wan-Bissaka and Saka against Delo. I thought Delo had a good game, even though there's a lot of embarrassing pictures of him in terms of him lying on the floor. But he did have a good game. He did watch Saka quite well. And then you also look at the state of the Arsenal team. We are still trying things. A couple of games where our right back, Thomas Partey, who's now injured, he was obviously the inverted player in the system, and then we played 3 different players at left back. So it was Timber, then Tomiyasu, and then Kivio we played at left back, and Gabriel Magalhaes, who was fantastic. There's Delo lying on the floor. I think it's Delo. I keep forgetting who was the one on the floor. I'm assuming it's Delo. It could be Evans, but yeah, so obviously Arsenal trying loads of things. Declan Rice, he's just been absolutely superb. Man of the match, obviously, in this game. And then obviously Thomas Partey's role as well, inverted right back, while Zinchenko was still building up fitness, and now Thomas Partey is injured. So it looks like it could be anything from 6 weeks to 3 months. A lot of reports are saying after the October international break. It's the September international break now. Loads of our players are off on international duty. So that's also a bit of a disappointing thing that... well, you look at it 2 ways. It's disappointing in the sense that Arsenal's going to get momentum from this game. However, sometimes you do need a bit of a break. Now in Man United's case, they probably would have wanted to play to try and get over the result, But in Arsenal's case, I don't know. I don't know how to look at it this time. It's not as if we've built momentum in the sense that we are playing great. We're not playing great. And we obviously have Jesus, who's actually been selected for Brazil now after Anthony's off-the-field antics. Not going to get into that, but it's important to note that it's difficult. It's difficult to analyze if it's the right time that this international break is coming or not. It normally doesn't work out for Arsenal. We're very, very poor when we come back, and quite often it's in the back end of the season where we tend to struggle. Not so much in the September, if there even was a September international break last. I can't remember because obviously it was World Cup. So I can't remember if we had the international break. We obviously had a run of a fantastic first half of the season, pre-World Cup, which culminated in our win against Wolves, and I think we were either 5 or 8 points clear at that stage. But normally the international breaks doesn't go that well for Arsenal. Let me just take this thing off because it's hurting my eyes. Well, it's not hurting my eyes in the sense that it's bad. But, right, let's see if I can just quickly take myself off. Is it now that one? There we go. Okay, so this is how the teams lined up. Obviously in white is Arsenal. In orange is Man United. Man United with a ghastly green and black prison kit that they had on. But obviously Arsenal's got the zebra, the neon zebra kit. That's extremely dodgy. It's not the worst kit in the world, but this is how Arsenal lined up. Obviously, Aaron Ramsdale in goal, right back Ben 10 out of 10 white, Saliba right centre back in their positions that they need to be in. Back 5, and then Gabriel Magalhaes, who had a fantastic game. He was at 6:35. Obviously, Alexander Zinchenko at left back, and then obviously at the base the number 6 wearing number 41, Declan Rice, man of the match, best player on the field by country mile. Right 8/10, number 8, Martin Odegaard, 29, Havertz. What a stinker of a game. I'm trying to support the guy, but you have to be honest when you analyze games. The same way I'm honest that Arsenal weren't great, and the result could have gone anyway. And we're excited that we won, got 2 late goals, but you have to call a spade a spade. Havertz obviously at fault for the first goal, didn't win the penalty. And then obviously he also scuffed the chance that he had to make it 1-0, I think, at the time. Obviously our left winger Martinelli, fantastic game this time around, but Saka again not a great game on the right. And then obviously through the middle, the man that worked his socks off and made the English national team, Eddie Bloodclot Nketiah. For Man United, in goal, Onana, most passes for a goalkeeper ever for Man United. Right back, Aaron Wan-Bissaka was obviously up against Martinelli. They had, who's that? Is that Lindelof at number 2? Number 6, the Butcher, Lisandro Martinez. Funny enough, is it both that ended up going off? Can't quite remember if it was both. Yeah, I think both ended up going off. And then 20s, the low thought he had a very good game. Eriksson, nothing great, probably just did his job. Casemiro was dominated by Rice, so much so that he had to move in different parts of the field. And then obviously Bruno Fernandes there, and then Anthony on the right. I thought Fernandes and Anthony worked hard off the ball. Left wing was obviously Rashford, their best player. Very good performance when he got into the game. He was very dangerous, and Martial was very poor up front. So that is how the teams lined up. In terms of, from Arsenal's standpoint, Ramsdale didn't have much to do. He really did well to even get a fingertip to the Rashford goal. It's more our number 2, our number 4, Saliba and Ben White, even though Kai Havertz gave the ball away for their first goal. Very poor defending. It's almost like if they were drifting towards the left, both Saliba and White, and then obviously wrong-footed as they tried to go towards, let's say, their left. I should actually have said they were drifting to the right, which was the left side of Rashford as is attacking. And you actually need to go to their left, which is Rashford's right, because that's where he wants to be. He wants to be on the right foot. And I actually heard a podcast today of David Seaman's podcast where he said that, yes, White and Saliba can be to blame, both going the same way. Maybe one needed to go right, one needed to go left, just to cover both feet, but both of them were in the same direction, and then obviously Rashford was able to quickly cut in. He does it against other teams as well, so it is difficult. And then obviously a fantastic shot from him, and then a goal, and then Yeah, he got a fingertip to it. Even David Seaman analysed it and said that it's impossible for him to have gotten anywhere close to it because remember, this guy's shooting. He's got a great shooting ability, this Rashford guy, and he keeps on scoring against Arsenal. So once again, he scored. So that's all good. And then not even a minute later, Martin Odegaard, fantastic pass through the midfield, and then obviously to Martinelli, and then Martinelli to Odegaard, and a fantastic, that typical shot that Odegaard with a left foot into the corner of the net, beating Onana, 1-1 Arsenal. Man United obviously known for switching off at times, and even Arsenal for that matter, when they concede a goal or when they've scored a goal, they switch off, and lots of teams does it. I don't know what's going on with that, but that's just basically how it is at the end of the day. And then obviously 1-1 at halftime. Obviously, lots of nerves. The tempo and intensity of the intensity was there. The tempo wasn't. Yes, you could attribute that to the tactics of the different teams. When you talk about the tempo in terms of this team has got this setup, this team has got this setup. Man United wanted to play deep, so you basically had a situation where even a little bit further back to what the image is for Man United's midfield three, they were really, really tight and close to their two central defenders, whereas Wan-Bissaka and Anthony tried to watch Martinelli, and then obviously the same where Rashford tended to help was it the low on Saka, because they knew our threats are from our wide men and not so much from our left eight. That left eight role still needs to be sorted out. We have to be patient with him, but that's just how it is at the end of the day. And then obviously, despite the fact that those were part of the reasons why the tempo wasn't really there, the intensity was there in my opinion, and then also the weather. You don't really want to go into the weather, but it is England and it's abnormally hot there in this day and age, and obviously it was a very hot day, so obviously that does affect football when it is hot days. Obviously it was a later kickoff. I don't even want to think if it was a 2 o'clock kickoff on Sunday afternoon, which they won't do for a big game. But yeah, in that case, you just basically accept it as it is, because teams does have tactics. Man United came with this tactic, and I thought it's very negative. Good for us, because maybe if they were a bit more attacking, maybe there's more space, maybe they are more threatening, maybe a bit more dangerous, because Arsenal's not really been defending that well, especially when teams start to maybe get a bit of ball. So it's difficult to analyze after the game as to, okay, if they change things, this is how the result would have gone. It's impossible to do so. Let me just get back onto these guys. Let's take the lineups away. So there we go. Yeah. So obviously Arsenal substitutions. Funny enough, the last two pictures were obviously players that made a huge impact. And also Nelson at the end as well. Looked very dangerous. Really looking forward to seeing what he can do. In my Monday reaction video, I did talk about the fact that Smith Rowe, Nelson, Martinelli, Trossard are all more. They're better on the left side, and we actually need someone to help Saka. So I don't know if we can in one or two games maybe just have a look at Trossard or Smith Rowe or Nelson on the right side, just so that we can see if we actually do have cover for Saka, who didn't have a great game yesterday. It's still early on in the season. He will play most of the games, 95% of the games, but there's going to come a time where he has to be rested. He can maybe be on the bench and be very dangerous in the second half. We've got loads of games. It's going to be a hectic period. Actually, from now onwards, hectic. Unless you get knocked out of the League Cup and knocked out of the FA Cup, it's going to be hectic right through now until you get actually knocked out of a competition, because it's big league games coming up. We've got Tottenham, Man City all coming to the Emirates Stadium, which makes it a very difficult second half of the season. But just on our substitutions, Vieira, once again, a fantastic effort from him. It wasn't really left eight. It was more everybody started pushing up. You had Zinchenko to a large extent, and then obviously Tomiyasu really pushing into midfield with Rice. And then obviously the left eight was more a left 10. So you had a left 10 and a right 10 with Odegaard and Vieira, as Arsenal were pushing to try to get back into the game. Obviously there was the offside situation as well with Garnacho, where it was just offside. Everybody just saying, no, it's not offside. What is VAR there for? Arsenal's also had quite a few close ones. I can remember Liverpool, Chelsea also had close ones like this, and it was just actually very smart. There was some extremely funny pictures of Gabriel Magalhaes doing the Michael Jackson stance, whether it's Thriller or whatever, and that is how he was able to make sure that I don't know how, that Garnacho was offside. So maybe on another day wouldn't have been offside. Maybe it would have been in line. But it was offside. Whether the lines were drawn skew. Remember, for Arsenal, Brentford last season, they forgot to draw the lines. They didn't forget to draw any lines, and the lines were straight. So I don't want to hear anything. So it was an offside goal. Man United fans celebrating like crazy, and then obviously coming back down to earth as it was 1-1. And then Arsenal kept on pushing, and obviously Man United were always going to have a chance here and there on the counter. There wasn't really anything prevalent after the offside goal. So from that standpoint, I'm extremely happy. So I'm going to take the video capture device off, take that off, and then we've got tactics. Let's see. Righto, so just some imagery on the tactics. That was the 29th minute. You can see how far up the field Zinchenko is. Martinelli tends to push out wide with Zinchenko, and then Nketiah tends to come a little bit deeper. Once again, this is where Zinchenko was quite a lot of the time on the right side. So Declan Rice covering left back now, and then Zinchenko on the right side. Once again, Nketiah coming deep, and then at times Havertz and Ødegaard. Jesus, pictures are going quick. Ødegaard there, who's got the ball? So Arsenal's got the ball here. We're on attack. Declan Rice, Zinchenko now back on the left, and Ødegaard up front, and Nketiah again coming deep, and Havertz. And once again, there's a nice picture to illustrate that Nketiah is being tracked by one of the defenders. He's pulling him out, and then Havertz tries to go beyond, and that's what we want Havertz to do. We need him to go beyond the player. And this is 1-1. Obviously, United didn't really score from this. It might have been one of the chances, and that's how our defensive play looked. Zinchenko's there, Gabriel more towards the middle, Saliba towards the right, and obviously Ben White doesn't have the ball. And this is just once again Man United playing from deep and Arsenal pressing. Quite a few players pressing here, but most of the time you had Arsenal only having about 3, maybe 4 players pressing the ball. And then this is obviously the goal. Martinelli there, Ødegaard, Nketiah once again. They don't know how to track Nketiah, as all these pictures have indicated, because he's not really playing the 9 role. Once again, he's pushing more towards the ball with his back to goal. Ødegaard more advanced, Havertz more advanced, and there's Martinelli way up there all by himself. Once again, late in the game, and Nketiah coming deep. Rice has the ball, and there's Ødegaard and Havertz beyond Nketiah, and that is actually amazing stats from, I can't remember who this was that did these pictures, but all of them shows that we are pulling the centre back, and it looks like Lindelof most of the time, pulling them back. There's Lisandro Martinez on the left there, that side, and I see Delo as well. And then obviously this is just an illustration of, Martial was quite poor, Fernandes keeping that position, Anthony there, and then Rashford always trying to go where Ben White basically has to be, and he's pulling Saliba. He's basically pulling Saliba to the right, which creates space for the number 10, which in this case is Bruno Fernandes. Once again, slow passing out from the back. Obviously, you're going to have 100% pass because it's narrow passes, and you're not going to pass the ball backwards. Otherwise, it's an own goal from Onana. Once again, you're just showcasing how far up the pitch Zinchenko can sometimes be. This is now Zinchenko on the right side, so he was absolutely everywhere, and he had to then eventually go off, unfortunately, because I'm sure he was extremely tired. But actually very interesting. It's very interesting how they are able to capture the stalls of the way Arsenal are playing, and I thought that was actually quite well documented. I must just get that site again. Let's give them some credit for crying out loud. But so that is basically how it goes. I thought it was fantastic from Arsenal. A great win for Arsenal. Just in terms of what we can do better. So we need to, obviously now, we're coming now to a point where a lot of football is taking place. So you've got an international break. Arsenal's players have done well over the last 18 months or so. And also the new players that we bought. So it's very likely that these guys are going to have 2 games. Most of our players are going to have 2 games in this international break. And then on the Sunday afternoon, late afternoon, Everton versus Arsenal at Goodson Park. Sean Dyche is struggling Everton. They finally scored a couple of goals after the first 3 games where they didn't score a single goal, and then they played a League Cup game. Beto, their new striker, scored, and they scored 2 goals as well against Sheffield, but they weren't great. So once again, we are going to Goodson Park with Everton not in the best of form. It's not the new manager bounce this time, because remember Sean Dyche's first game, I think it was, where they beat us 1-0 last season. I think it might have been again after an international break. So disappointing international break in the back half of the season, where Arsenal once again came unstuck against the Evertonians. So that was a very disappointing game. So where is the I don't know where this stuff has gone. But that is just how it goes, I guess. At the end of the day, we just have to accept that this is how things are going to be. Where is it now, man? Right, let me just see if I can get something on your image. There we go. Okay. Just bear with me, people. Desktop. I just want to get the Arsenal ladies up. Arsenal ladies are playing Linköping tomorrow evening, just after 5 South African time. So it's going to be very important for the Arsenal ladies to get off to a good start there, because it's a very, very important game. If I can just find the freaking thing. Where is it now? There we go. Boom. Lovely stuff. Quick fast. Right. So that is the Arsenal ladies squad. So Arsenal are playing Linköping in a Champions League qualifier. So it's 2 rounds. The first round, it's basically where when they did the draw, you've got 4 teams being played at one stadium. So I can't say the Ukrainian team, but it's obviously Paris FC in the other semi-final, and I'm assuming Paris FC will go through, not PSG, the sister club in Paris. So they're playing in the second semi-final. Arsenal are playing Linköping, the hosts of this game. They are playing them tomorrow evening, 5:30, I think, South African time. And it's the first time that the Arsenal ladies will be playing. So available squad: Zinsberger, Austrian goalkeeper. She was not at the World Cup because Austria didn't qualify. Williams is a youth goalkeeper. And then Sabrina De Angelo was a Canadian, or still is a Canadian goalkeeper. She didn't get to play any games. Our defenders: Lotte Wubben-Moy, World Cup finalist for England. She didn't get to play any games in the World Cup, so she will very likely play left centre-back. Jen Beattie, Scottish player, wasn't at the World Cup. Steph Catley was at the World Cup for Australia. Noelle Maritz, right back, played for Switzerland, did quite well. And then World Cup winner Leia Cordina I don't think she will start, because they obviously made the final. The part of players that needs to rest will be on the bench. But Spanish left centre-back, and Illerstedt, who can play right and left centre-back from Sweden. She's the bronze ball winner from the whole World Cup. Kim Little, Arsenal's club captain, is back after injury. Frida Manum, she played for, so just back on Little, a Scottish, retired Scottish player. So obviously, even if Scotland made it, she wouldn't have played. Frida Manum for Norway. Funny enough, her partner captains Linköping. I just read something like that now. So she's very likely going to play in midfield against her partner. How weird is that? But anyway, she played for Norway. Leia Valti alongside Maritz, our right back, she was actually captain for Switzerland. Katie McCabe, captain of Ireland, also at the World Cup. Victoria Pelova played right wing back most of the time for the Netherlands, even against South Africa, did quite well. And then Katrien Keul from Denmark also played at the World Cup. And then we've got Beth Mead. So it's already been confirmed that she won't play. She was the player of the tournament at the Euros, which England won. And unfortunately, she had obviously the ACL injury, and she is slowly but surely going to come back. She was obviously the first one out of the 5 that got ACL injuries. The other 4 are still obviously a while before they come back. Hurtig, a bronze medalist with Sweden, alongside Blackstenius there at the bottom, also played for Sweden in the World Cup, also bronze medalist. Caitlin Ford, forward for Australia. They finished 4th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they lost to Sweden in the 3rd and 4th place playoff. Gio, Brazilian winger, might go on loan. I think the transfer window closes tomorrow, somewhere along there for the WSL, or next week. And then Alicia Russo, our well, it's not a big money signing. We bid a record bid in January, which Man United declined, and then she became a free agent, so we didn't pay Man United anything. Alicia Russo silver medalist at the World Cup for England. She might play up front. I think Blackstenius will play up front, just due to the fact that the final wasn't so long ago, so the finalists are unlikely going to play, people that played in the final. Chloe Lacasse from Canada, top goal scorer at Benfica for the Portuguese ladies in Benfica that play in Portugal, and she did well in the Women's Champions League last season. She can play out wide or through the middle. And then Stina Blackstenius, also a bronze medalist. So Arsenal against Linköping, if they win that, they play very likely Paris, or it could be the Ukrainian team. I don't know the quality of either of the two, but it's games that Arsenal should win comfortably. They've got world beaters in their team, and Arsenal need to seriously go for the big trophies. This is a very, very, very strong squad, and there's still 4 players that has ACL injuries that's not here. I think there might be a 5th one. Taya Goldie, our youth defender, is also out. So Arsenal need to perform in this upcoming season. It's really, really important that they perform because we're going to be under pressure. I actually just want to get the image up of Arsenal's internationals. Let's see if I can get hold of that one quickly. This is what happens when you're prepared. There we go. If you are prepared, then everything will happen for you. So now I need to make this smaller so that you can see the whole freaking thing. There we go. Lock it up. There we go. Right, so Arsenal's internationals: Eddie, Bloodclot Nketiah, Bukayo Saka, Declan Rice, Aaron Ramsdale. One name missing there. Ben 10 out of 10 White. Once again, something happened behind the scenes because he is definitely one of the better defenders. Can cover right back and right centre back. Very poor that the likes of Maguire is still in the squad. I can understand that England have quite a few right backs. I can understand that. Walker and Reece James is injured. Walker and who's the other one? Trippier. So they obviously had good seasons, but very disappointing not to have been 10 out of 10 White there. And then Arsenal have got 3 Brazilians. Initially it was 2, but with Man United's Anthony being put to the curb, Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli and Gabriel Magalhães are all going to be performing for Brazil. Obviously have far way to travel, and I think Brazil are playing the Tuesday before the Sunday, so it's probably not the worst, but they do get to Carrington, probably only London Colney on Friday evening. Friday morning, probably UK time. So that means only two training sessions. Martin Ødegaard for Norway, obviously the captain of Norway as well. Kai Havertz, very likely going to play in what was he playing? He was playing right 8/10, where Ødegaard plays. He was playing the last time he played for Germany, and sometimes the false 9. William Saliba for France, Jakub Kiwior for Poland, Leandro Trossard for Portugal. Alexander Zinchenko will come up against England. Ukraine is playing England. Takahiro Tomiyasu for Japan. I think Japan are playing Germany, so it's going to be Havertz versus Tomiyasu. That's going to be interesting. David Raya made the Spanish team, and Karl Hein made the Estonian national team, and I do think he's going to come up against Trossard because Hein does start for Estonia. I don't know if Leandro Trossard, because he's up against Man City's new signing Doku when it comes to the international bit. So it's going to be a bit of a quiet one when it comes to Arsenal stuff because the transfer window is done, so that news isn't there anymore. It's now all about a couple of the players that's staying behind for them to obviously get more training in, maybe 1 or 2 rest days just to rest the mind, and then obviously recovery and get ready for that Everton game. These are the players that hasn't been selected. So the likes of Vieira, Smith Rowe, it's actually a very important 2 weeks for them to work extremely hard because Kai Havertz is now obviously not there. Ødegaard isn't there. Thomas Partey is injured. Rice is with international duty. So those 2 key midfielders, Nelson also not selected, is going to be very important for them to stake a claim. Obviously, Nketiah, Martinelli, Trossard, Jesus, they're all on international duty. So if there's a game behind closed doors with the youngsters, hopefully they are able to get something done, and hopefully we can find a solution with regards to Vieira and Smith Rowe in the left 8 role. With Everton being very physical and Thomas Partey not being there, it's likely going to be Rice and Havertz again, but we need to get that left 8 role sorted when it comes to the Arsenal transfer business. So I will leave that there for this week. I think it was a fantastic win for Arsenal. We didn't play great, still won against their arch enemies. But at the end of the day, it's all about showing that you can do it. Up the Arsenal.
Hey there.